Hey, everybody. Welcome back to 7 Miles North Music, Art, and Story. I'm Richard G., and I want to welcome you back to the channel. If this is your first time here, thank you for stopping by. And if you would, like and subscribe. And heck, we're going to try to put out a video every week or so, and maybe a little more often. And we've got music up on YouTube that you'd be more than welcome to go have a listen to, and we would certainly appreciate it. And I've got uh, some stories I like to share with people, and heck, that's I'm going to get into it here. Like I said, me and my wife do this. My wife Robbie, and she's busy on the computer right now, so she won't be in this video. But she's the artist, and you can see behind me there's a few paintings. She's working on a large painting back here in the background. It's a desert scene. Can't really see it right now, but we'll unveil that a little bit later. And but let me get into it. I'm a military brat. I grew up in the. My dad spent all his adult life in the army, and we traveled the world. We wound up in Germany in the mid 60s. This would be about what I'm going to share now would be about from about 1965 to 66. There and there, and we had uh, we had a great time there. A lot of great experiences. But this is a this is a little fun story I want to share with you that I would have been. This has been about in 1965. Yeah, probably about 65. Me and there was 7 other guys with me, and we pulled together 3 army pup tents, and you can button those or snap them and make you a much larger tent. And so we really made ourselves a 6-man tent, and then there was uh, 8 of us in there. So we were all in there, and we were all from the age of probably might have been the oldest one. There might have been 12, but and 10, 11, and 12. And guy sitting around a little sterno cooker. If anybody remember those, we probably heated up some K rations and whatnot. Had some jelly sandwiches and all. But the gist of the story is that my dad, and if any of you were in Germany during this period of time, you would remember that not everybody, but I'm sure my dad was in tanks. He was in the Third Armored, and they would have to go. I believe the place was Grafenwehr, and they'd have to go there and they'd stay for heck, I think 6 weeks. And this was during the time of the Cold War was, man, I mean, it was hot and heavy. And I mean, there was always a danger. Everybody thought, this could be it. Any time, things could go south. And so my dad and them were always at ready there. And my mother and a group of ladies would get together, and they traveled to Grafenbeer, and they'd get them a motel, and they'd be able to then go and see my dad and their husbands, and they would stay there a weekend or so. Well, I have a sister who's 6 years, nearly 7 years older than me, and then I have one 4 years older than me. At the time, that would have put my oldest sister would have been right about 17, 18, and then 16. So they were left in charge of a rowdy, very well, rowdy Alice, rowdy 10-year-old. Well, I tell them we're going to go out and we're going to group of us are going to go camping out here, and really had been right in our backyard, right behind our building. We had a park, and this little playground park is what it was, and there was night light out there, so street light. So we were all getting our got our gear, got our tent set up before dark, and we had the street light to kind of give us some light out there. So we weren't out in the middle of nowhere. We were really right in between 2 large buildings, and but anyway, we got our gear all set up, and we're sitting around that evening, and told her we're starting to tell our stories, and everybody's got a little scary story, and we shared some scary stories with each other, and we had this the regular stories they tell, but one of the guys had brought up and said, "Hey, have you guys heard about the guy who's been slipping in and breaking in and coming in through windows and getting in and stealing stuff while people are in bed asleep?" I mean, the guy was telling, he said, like their next door neighbor had somebody that just, walked, right in and, I mean, come through the bedroom window right where they were sleeping, and proceeded to go around and get, several things out of their house. So he's going on and telling all this story, and we're all, sitting around there listening and to the story, and I know, rocking along, and somebody said, "Oh well, man, I really hadn't heard about that." And then the next guy said, "Well, I wonder about what time all this supposedly went down." And somebody said, "Well, I'd heard it was, always after midnight or something like that when this guy would show up." Well, of course, next question was, "Well, what time was it?" Well, it was about 11:30. Well, eventually everybody kind of died down, started going to sleep. Now, the little side note about this little deal was we had a little issue with the tent over in one corner. When you started buttoning those buttons up, they didn't always, or the snaps, they didn't always line up, or your buttonholes didn't, however your tent was set up. And we had a little issue with like two of the holes or two of the snaps weren't matching up, so we had a little opening towards the side of our tent, and near face size, you can stick your face nearly through there. So anyway, we're rocking along, and I believe there was probably about maybe three of us, maybe four, that weren't hadn't called it a night. We were still awake and still jabbering and talking, and one of the guys said, "Well, at least we can tell if anybody walks up on us because we've got the street light, and we had a shadow that went all the way around the tent. Basically, we could see the shadow." Somebody said, "Hey, it's about midnight." Well, I guarantee you it wasn't about 20 minutes or so. We see a shadow back on the back side of the tent, and I think there was just three of us awake by this time. And we started watching, and it just kind of moved. This guy was just moving, or guy, saying guy, it may have been a female. I figured it was a guy, but moving around out there, and kind of started bothering us. Of course, now we've got the story in our head. Now we're wondering, okay, did one of the guys, was he setting us up? Well, we started waking up because this person outside started a wide circle around the tent, come up by probably 20 feet or so outside the tent. We started waking up everybody and being real quiet. "Hey, y'all, look, man, there's somebody circling this tent." And we're like, "Oh my God," And so everybody's getting a little tense, and the circle started getting closer and closer and closer. As this guy kind of was like he was easing in on the tent, and we started being a little louder and hoping that this person will leave. But they wasn't leaving; they were staying, and I guess they was probably having fun scaring us. And so they continued on, and we getting closer and closer. And one of us, or one of the guys there, said, "Well, how about we break and run, take off for a run?" Well, it was probably about I'd been probably 200 yards, maybe 300 yards to the military police station that was down the road from our place there, and we were like, that's a long way, but well, what are we going to do? This guy, 8 of us, could have took, but fear is set in now, so we're all a little panicked, and anyway, the guy kept going around, and directly he got close enough to the tent that he stuck his face in the hole of the tent. and really did not in the tent, but he stuck his face up there where he could be seen. I didn't see it, but two of the guys did, and they come undone and started hollering. So then the plan we had to set up a plan and get it in motion. And the plan was that we would swing the tent flap open and run out. Now, can't all run out at once, so we was going to run out in single file. And the oldest, for some reason, it was going to be the oldest one was going to go first. I was back towards the last because I was one of the younger ones. But the next time he come back around, he put his hands by the tent up on that hole, and it was like he was going to try to tear it apart. And panic stuck in. We started screaming, and I mean, we screamed. And the next thing I know, the tent flap swung open. We started, whoever was first, and I don't remember who it was, and I can't really even remember all the guys' names because it's been so many years ago, but they took off. But we had a tent peg set out just right outside the fence, so when we weren't in the tent, we could pull the tent flap open, tie it off, and have it open. Well, tripped over the tent peg as he's going out. Now we've got a pile up of all of us wind up nearly. I think there was about 4 or 5 in a pile hollering and screaming, and I broke around the pile, and I can't remember the other guy's name, and we got around them and all mad dash to the military police station. We all got down there to the military police station. We're excited. We're telling this dude, somebody trying to get in our tent. Pretty sure he was going to try to kill us all. We were a bunch of young guys just in shock, and the military police thought it was quite humorous, and so they loaded us all up in a couple of Jeeps and drove us back up to where we were, right up the road. And they wouldn't let us walk. We were going to walk. No. We loaded us in Jeeps, drove us back up to where our tent was, and they looked around, and we had behind where up my apartment building. We were right behind my apartment building. There was another apartment building probably 40 yards behind ours, and they saw somebody moving around one of the buildings, and the military police told us to gather our stuff and go back to our apartments, and they went off. Well, I went in and banged on my door. Well, my sisters were having a slumber party, had some friends over, and they let me in. And I was telling them, my God, man, there was a guy tried to get in a tent, and we were screaming and hollering. And my sister said, "Oh, we heard you scream. We heard screams and hollers, but we just figured it was a bunch of girls." Well, evidently we sounded like a bunch of girls screaming because they heard us, and we were a good ways away from our apartment, but. So evidently we made a lot of noise, but they did wind up catching a guy, and that night, and I don't know if it was the same guy that was trying to get in our tent, but they did catch the guy who'd been breaking into the apartments that night, and anyway, it was quite an adventure for a bunch of little guys camping out and getting a mess scared out of you, but. And another thing I want to share with you was I had this thought in my mind. We were, going to school. We had fire drills all the time, but we had also when we were so close to, the Germany was, Berlin was still communist at this time, so we had, they were right there, and. We were always on, everybody was on edge about this. Well, we had nuclear bomb drills at school. And I told people later in life, I said, well, I wished I'd have brought one of those daggum desks back from Germany with me, because evidently they were super special, because if we were hit by a nuclear bomb, we were to get under the desk. I guess that desk had some super protective shield, but I used to laugh, and I thought about that. I go, yeah, okay, that's, makes a lot of sense, but times change, I guess we still need to fear about some of this mess. But you know, we had a lot of adventures while we were there in Germany, and I hope to share another couple. But if you would, I have already put up one about Germany and about an experience I had with a lady who was had some mental issues and kind of came at me with a knife, and I don't know if she meant me harm at that time. I certainly didn't want to find out, and but might look back on that story and check it out if you would, and like and subscribe. And like I say, we're going to come back. I've got another story about a tower that me and a group of boys walked up on out in the middle of a forest, and it really kind of a supernatural, maybe not supernatural, but there was something going on there, and I'll hope to share that with you probably in the next episode. And again, we've got at our site at 7 Miles North Music Art and Stories on YouTube. We've got multiple songs and videos up that you can go, and hope you enjoy them. Hope you look at them, and hope you enjoy my little stories. I don't intend on keeping anybody too long, but I do like to share these little tales. My wife says I need to get them out because I'm not getting any younger. I don't know what she's trying to tell me, but anyway, just want to give you a thanks for listening. Thanks for stopping by, and I want to wish everybody a blessed day, and thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe, and we thank you for your support. God bless you and have a great day. Thank you.